Alrighty, so in this video, I'm going to be showing you how we can end up adding these external details to our Airpod cases. This is a Harley-Davidson styled case that I ended up creating. I'm going to end up putting on this text here, which is a name. We're going to extrude that out, and I'm going to show you how we can actually end up adding this here. So just starting off here, I've got the top case and bottom case. I'm going to go ahead and hide that. That way I can go in here and get to this text. Now, all I did for this text is I just had created a sketch in here. And then what I did is I looked at the bottom case and just kind of find out where I wanted to end up placing that text. I ended up putting it on the front plane. So this is just any sketch details that we want to end up adding in here and then later extruding. And so what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to grab this sketch and I'm going to actually end up clicking extrude. And so now you can see this name is protruding out. And so ideally, I want it to go out a certain distance here. And so I can end up bringing it out to like right here. And now as we can end up seeing, we've got it where it's looking good and it's going to this point here, but over here it's still protruding out. And so what I'm going to show you is, you can end up extruding this out. Oops, we're going to have to redo that. But I also want it to end up, let's try this, 0.58. I want it to extrude out, but then I also want it to be cut off there. And so I'm going to show you how we can end up doing that. Let's try to go 0.59 here, maybe 0.585. We're going to try to get that matched up. And so what I can also do is instead of a blind, I could do up to a face. So maybe I want it to go to this point right here. Perfect. So now we've got that. So I'm going to go ahead and green check mark. Now, as you can also see, we've got this text in the back here too that we don't want to end up using as well. So let's go ahead and let's do this. What I want to do is I want to go back into here. I want to create new parts. So I'm going to have all these be new parts here for this text. And we're going to go ahead and press the green check mark. Now, as you can see, we've got all of these parts down here that are these letters. At the end, after I've gone through and split these, I want to actually add these to my bottom case part so that all this is one part. So let's go ahead and let's go in here. The tool that we're going to be using here is going to be the split tool. So let me show you this. The split tool is how we also end up separating the top and bottom parts of the cases. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first split the Y letter. And so I can select the part that I want to end up splitting, which is that Y, and then I can select an entity to split it with. So I'm going to end up selecting this surface. Now, if I press the green check mark, what you can see here in the back is that now we have two different parts. We have this part that's right here in the back, and then as well I've got this Y that's up here in the front. Well, what I want to end up doing with this part here in the back is after it's been splitted, I want to actually delete that part. So we're going to use this tool that's called delete part to actually delete that. Okay, and so now in this case, this was a curved surface here, so we had to do that one separately. We'll have to do the same thing for the G, but then all these letters that are in between here in this area that is flat, we can actually just split all those just along this same surface. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and type in again split, and I'm going to split all of these parts that are right here. And what entity are we going to split those with? That is going to be, and I selected the G there on accident. The entity we're going to split it with is going to be this right here. So it's going to be that surface. So now if I press the green check mark, we'll see that all of these are split. Now, once again, I want to delete these parts. So we can delete these parts right here. And so now, as you can see, they're disappearing, right? Okay. Last part that I want to end up splitting is going to be this G here. Remember, we had to do that one separate because of the fact that it is on this curved surface. And so now I can go green check mark. We've got that part in the back. I need to delete it. So I'm going to delete that part. Entities to delete. It's going to be this guy, green check mark. Okay. So now all those parts are deleted on there. Additionally, what I want to end up doing next is I want to actually take care of this part right here that needs to be extruded out. And then also this part here too. So I want to remove those parts. This is going to be so that it will actually follow the profile of this case as well. And it's going to make it look a little bit more sleek. It's going to give us a better aesthetic appeal. And it's also just going to be better in terms of the user using this because it's going to be smoothened out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start by creating a face that's going to be on this sketch, right? Or sorry, I'm going to create a sketch that's going to be on this face. And so what we can end up doing is I want to basically offset this profile of the case. So what I can end up doing is use that offset tool. So what I'm going to select is going to be right here. I'm going to select right here, and then I'm also going to select right here. Now, as you can see, it creates this offset. I'm going to end up dragging it out this way, and so what I can end up typing in here is going to be 0.075 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter, and now you can see we've created that. Now what I can end up doing here is I can create a line. So I'm going to press enter, I'm going to press L on my keyboard to create that line. Now what I want to do is create a sketch that's going to basically embody all of this inside of it. Now if I end up clicking on this sketch, what I can end up doing is go to the extrude tool, and I can go to the remove option. Now if I end up going to the remove option, I can select a merge scope. What do I want to end up deleting? I want to delete any of the part. If there's any overlap with any of these parts here, that's going to be our merge scope, and it's going to delete that. And so now, just after pressing the green check mark, you will see this Y is now following that contour that's below it as well, and then also the G over here too. The last step, what we'd want to do to actually ensure that all of these parts are binded or just combined to the bottom case, is we're going to use a tool that is called the Boolean tool. So now the Boolean tool, we can end up using the union. So if I select this G, if I select the A, the L, both of the L's, the O, the W, the A, and then the Y, and then if I end up actually selecting the bottom case, then it's going to actually union, it's going to perform a union, which means it's going to combine all of those parts together. And so now, as you can see, all those parts are combined. I can switch the color on this to be orange here. So that it's back to that Harley Davidson orange. And then now, as you can see, we've got that name in the back there. All right. So last and final thing that I want to show you is the top case. So we're going to bring this in. What I need to do to this top case is I've got to remove that piece, right? And so what we're going to also be doing today is we're going to be constructing and testing. And so what we need to do is be able to pop this into the Onshape assembly. And so what we want is to be able to model this so that we can end up revolving this, right? So we can rotate this guy. And so it should be able to rotate. Now, one thing that you're going to end up finding is an issue is that we actually don't have a point or a mate point on this top case that we can end up selecting that overlaps with our bottom case. And so right here, what I ended up doing is I actually created a mate connection point. And so that's what I'm going to show you how to do in here. So remember, the mate connection point is going to allow us to select 2 points that are going to be in contact that can rotate about each other. And so I'm going to show you how we can do that in here. What we're going to do is we're going to use a tool that is called the mate connector. Now, as you can see, there's an origin entity and then there's an owner entity. What we want to do is we want to have this top case be the owner entity. And what we want to do is the origin entity is going to be this point right here, because this is the 2 points that are going to be in contact. So currently, the owner entity is this bottom case. All I want to do is I want to select the top case so that the top case is the owner of this mate connector. Okay, now I can press the green check mark. Now if I hide this bottom case, which I do need to rename this, by the way, so I'm going to rename this bottom case. If I hide that bottom case, though, we'll see that this top case is the owner of this mate connection point now. Okay, so that is very, very important, because what we can do now is if I end up creating the assembly, I can end up inserting the parts. And so I'm going to go ahead and insert the bottom case as well as the top case here. I'll press the green check mark. And now what I can end up doing is I can fix this, right? I can fix this, so if I try to move this, it's not going to move. And then now what I can also do is I can set up this revolute mate. Now it's kind of hard to see this because it's in black, but this is that inner edge on the case. I'm going to click right there. That is at the bottom case. Now the point that's going to be in contact, that's going to be rotating about that point, would be this point that we've selected on the top case. Now if I end up rotating this, we can end up using this, and you can see that it does rotate open. However, there is an issue that I'm encountering. You can see that it's going through this part, and as well on the AirPods, it should end up stopping back here at some point. As you can see, we can also continue. So what I've got to do is I've got to set up an actual limit on there. So I'm going to set up this limit, and I'm going to make this limit be -100 to 0. Now what we can do is we can solve this. We can press play, and as you can see, that is the correct orientation. Now, whenever I first tried this out, I put 0 here for the minimum, and I put 100. In that case, you might have to mess around with what these values are if you find that it's not correct and it's not working correctly, but this is good. So this is how we would end up doing this. And as you can see, we do have a case that is fully functional. This back piece of the case is not limiting the motion because we've cut that out. And so it is able to function as intended there. Anyways, in this video, what we ended up talking about is how we can end up extruding, sketch geometry, how we can end up using the split tool as well as the extrude tool to be able to remove 3D pieces that are going to be used for our AirPod case, how we can end up deleting parts as well that we've splitted, and then also how we can use the Boolean tool to end up merging all of our parts together. And then finally, we ended up talking about how we can create a make connection point within the Part Studio for a certain part. Hope that was helpful. As always, if you all have any comments or questions, please drop them in the comment section. Also, like and subscribe, please, too. It helps out the channel so much. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.